everyone, and welcome to the second presentation of the plant-based processing webinar series by SPX Flow. This presentation is about the extraction processes. In other words, the means to extract the main nutritional value from plant raw materials. First of all, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Thomas Leroy. I am Global Technical Sales Manager for plant-based integrated projects, working with SPX Flow since last 13 years, out of more than 20 years in the food and dairy industry. I have bachelor degrees in dairy technologies and executive masters in sales and marketing. My current role is supporting Salesforce globally on plant-based opportunities, during collaboration partnerships in this field, meeting plant-based manufacturers and supporting them on their new recipes and relevant processes they need, as shown here with fully integrated processing lines. Before all things, what drives SPX Flow? Improve the world through innovative and sustainable solutions. We'll strive to follow this purpose during today's presentation by addressing the challenges in plant-based processing, the SPX Flow sustainable lifecycle solutions in plant-based processes, the diversity in plant-based materials and the processing lines adapted to their composition, our innovation centers dedicated to supporting our customers in their new plant-based products. We will end up presenting the other plant-based webinar to come, and final questions and answers session. Just a comment before we get started. As an audience member, you will not have audio or video capability. Please use the Q&A feature to submit any questions throughout the presentation, and I will answer as many as I can at the end. If we do not have time to answer all of them, my contact information will be provided during the Q&A session. So let's get started with a discussion on extraction processes and the definition of extraction of plant raw materials. This term groups together processes for recovering main nutritional value plant components such as fats, proteins, carbohydrates, fibers, including also micronutrients, and involves the conversion of these plant materials from a solid state into a pumpable suspension by mixing with a liquid, by reduction of particle size with a breakdown from 1 millimeter to 50 down to 20 micron, and by solubilization in the liquid. These components are then more easily assimilated and their nutritional value is released. The resulting base also contains insoluble parts that needs to be separated with a solid liquid separation. This is the most common wet extraction, but be aware that there is also dry extraction processes for fat-containing seeds and nuts. Come back to the wet extraction. The resulting base can then be used as the main ingredient to make various plant-based finished products, such as beverages, cream, desserts, fermented products, spreads, cheese analogs, and spray-dry ingredients. But we may ask ourselves, what are the challenges in plant-based processing? If we focus on plant-based beverages, also called milk alternative beverages, the purpose is to be as close as possible to cow's milk in appearance, taste, composition, consistency. This is one of the challenges. But if there is one cow's milk, there is a diversity of plant-based raw materials, and the extraction processes must be adapted to all of them, which will cause high processing costs. The diversity of raw materials increases the complexity in terms of regulations, allergen, and cleanability, sustainability, as these processes use a lot of water and energy. SPX Flow is here to support you on all these challenges with our know-how, with our people who are having expertise with tackling those challenges. And we do that with our own equipment. Indeed, we are original equipment manufacturers for many critical blocks of your processing lines, starting from pumps and valves, mixers and blenders, homogenizers, heat exchangers, and complete thermal treatment solution, membrane filtration, evaporations and dryers, cleaning in place systems, and picking systems, for instance. But it is not just equipment that we provide you. We provide you solutions. We provide you hand-to-hand processing lines. And we are here to support you all along the life cycle of your project, from the concept to the commissioning, and a long time later with our services and spares. Let's go now into details of an extraction line. As an example, we can consider the overall process for oat-based beverages, starting from growth to be ground in warm water as the starting point, up to the final aseptic storage prior packing. There are several processing steps. Some of them are specific to the raw materials to be processed. In the case of oats or cereals, more broadly, hydrolysis steps are required to simplify the molecule of starch in smaller sugars. If we consider soybean extraction or peas, a continuous blanching at the end of the process using hot water and alkali is required for proper hydration of soybeans and inactivation of some enzymes and anti-nutritional factors. For the rest of the presentation, we will focus on oat processing as the resulting products are more and more popular in the different regions of the globe. As we mentioned earlier, there is a large diversity in plant raw materials, and different families of plants exist. Grains or cereals, legumes, nuts are the three main families. But we can also add seeds, hemp, chia seeds, sunflower seeds, and others are more difficult to classify into families, as potato or coconut. Soybeans were the first to be extracted hundreds of years ago in the Asian region, where soya bean products constitute a highly mature market. And this period closer to us, we are experiencing the emergence of pulses and seeds with peas, hemp, or flax seeds. Considering the three main families, grains, legumes, and nuts, it is important to note the diversity in the composition, as the extraction processes depend on the predominant components. Taking oat, soybean, and almond as the representative of these three families, we can simplify by saying that oat whole grain is very high in carbohydrates, large molecule of starch that needs to be simplified into smaller sugar molecules by the action of added enzymes. The enzymes help to mitigate the viscosity development from the moment the starch is brought into contact with warm water. The enzymes also help to adjust the sweetness and mouthfeel of the extracted base as desired. Soybeans is very high in protein, and in protein of high quality, but a large part of them, up to 40%, end up in the residues downstream fiber separation, called okara. For this reason, a second separation step is implemented to recover as much protein as possible from the first step and to increase overall yield. For soybean, there is also a new trend for reducing significantly the particle size using high-pressure homogenization and high-shear mixing. It results whole bean soya beverages, more nutritious, higher in protein and dietary fibers, and no or less okara rest. Almond, at last, is very high in fat, and it is recommended not to use water for grinding to prevent oxidation of fat and allow longer storage for the paste made. It results in a highly viscous paste, which requires efficient system for heating and cooling as our SPX flow surface creep heat exchangers. Considering the example of hot extraction, let's go into the detail of the key hydrolysis of starch with enzymes, whether we start from whole grain or flour. In the case of whole grain, preliminary grinding is necessary to decrease particle size to 1000 down to 100 micron. So the flour or ground growths are mixed with warm water in an efficient mixer, as our flex mix liquiverter, in a ratio of 1:4 or up to 1:6 weight per weight. A ratio of 1:4 means 1 volume of flour mixed with 4 volumes of water to make a standard 20% total solid slurry. The first enzyme is then added as the temperature increases to activate starch gelatinization and make starch granules accessible to enzymes. For higher efficiency, hydrolysis takes place in tank with direct steam injection to accurately control the gradual increase in temperature, very specific to each enzyme. The first enzyme is an alpha amylase that allows starch liquefaction. The second enzyme then is dosed into the tank while cooling the slurry down to 60-70 degrees for the second hydrolysis step called saccharification, to simplify the starch molecule in smaller sugars and to fine-tune desired sweetness and mouthfeel. The slurry is finally brought to high temperature as quickly as possible to deactivate the enzyme and stop their action. Direct steam injection in tank to temperature above 100 degrees C for a short period of time is the optimal solution to control overall quality and make repeatable quality products. Once hydrolysis is completed, the slurry passes through a centrifugal decanter to separate the insoluble residues. As for soya okara, the residues from oat, what we call oat kara, still contain a significant quantity of solids and valuable nutrients, mainly proteins and fibers. It is crucial to design carefully the decanter to maximize overall yield of the process. The liquid phase downstream the decanter is then cooled down to be stored as an ingredient that can be used for the formulation of finished oat-based products. You can see here an alternation of cooling and heating steps, making this process very demanding in energy. SPX flow can offer the relevant solution to recover as much energy as possible from this process, and to make the extraction more sustainable. We try to synthesize in a single diagram the diversity of extraction processes, starting with different states of plant raw materials, grains or beans, flour, isolates, pastes, and to show the different possible solutions to make plant-based end products, and also to consider how to enter this market depending on CapEx or OpEx considerations. The easiest and fastest way to entry into the plant-based market is to manufacture from ready-to-use concentrates. Could be oat syrup, soya protein isolates, or nut paste. As you can see here, the process starts from the mixing step using an efficient blender and standard process tanks, could be existing tanks. As a consequence, the capital expenditure is low. but these ready-to-use concentrates are relatively expensive, and the quality of the finished products will depend on the consistency in the composition of the concentrates. The intermediate solution, in the case of oat-based products, will consist in the use of flour, a semi-processed ingredient. The size of the processing line will be significantly larger, making this a medium capex solution that requires an efficient disperser for mashing the flour, the complete hydrolysis process, and a decanter for unstable fiber separation. However, this intermediate solution allows you to quickly start production of consistent quality and making mid-range volumes. The most complete solution will start from non-processed raw materials as beans or grains. These represent the most expensive solution with highest capex, as the processing line should include the storage and handling of beans or grains and grinding for particle size reduction. However, this solution allows you to have complete control of quality throughout production and to make the highest quality end products, while having considerable potential for OPEX reduction, for operating expenses reduction. For instance, we usually consider that the price of oat flour is twice as high as that of groats. In order to have a complete view on the overall line to make plant-based beverages, let's have a look at the processing steps downstream of extraction. It is essentially about formulation and UHT treatment to make shelf-stable drinks. SPX Flow offers the most efficient solution for vacuum mixing, as our FlexMix Instant, shown here, or for direct steam infusion, for instance. These parts will be presented in detail during the next webinars in the coming weeks. But we would like to emphasize the fact that SPX Flow is able to offer you most of the key processing equipment to make the highest quality plant-based beverages, from the reception of the raw materials up to final aseptic storage, as shown here within the green frames. And for the few pieces of equipment missing in SPX Flow portfolio, we have complete knowledge of the best technologies available on the market, and we have extensive expertise integrating them into our processing lines. For extraction, it is the case with grinders and decanters. And we are very happy to have reached a fruitful partnership agreement with Floodweg early last year to integrate their centrifugal decanters and to combine our expertise and knowledge to make the most efficient processing lines. All over the world, SPX Flow teams are here to support you throughout your new plant-based project with our innovation centers and partnership programs. This slide was presented to you during the previous webinar, and I am afraid I will not have time to review it in detail, but be aware that our innovation centers can help you testing new technologies, ingredients, or recipes on a semi-industrial scale and making samples for consumer testing. We have indeed SPX Flow innovation centers all over the globe to design, develop, perfect your manufacturing process. So do not hesitate to contact us to know more about our supporting innovation centers. This was an introduction to extraction to give you an idea of SPX Flow offering in plant-based technologies. All the process equipment that we discussed during this presentation will be much more detailed in each of the upcoming presentations as part of this webinar series. So if you want to learn how to build sustainability in your plant-based processing, please remember to register for the other presentation in the coming weeks. This ends today's presentation, and I will now begin our questions and answers session. Just a quick note. After we complete the webinar, all participants will receive a copy of this presentation. Please now give me a moment while I'll pull up your questions. Thank you. thank you for listening to this presentation and for staying at the Q&A session. So I can see that you submitted some interesting questions. So thank you for that. And again, if we do not have time to answer all of them, do not hesitate to send an email to the address provided, and I will reply to you personally. So let's start with the first question. Do you have extraction references for all the plant-based raw materials? So yes, we have a very extensive reference list related to plant-based extraction processes, starting early in the 70s, so 1971, if I'm correct, for a complete soya extraction plant in Thailand. And many others followed in this part of the world, in this Asian region. Until the mid-2000s, we can say that soya was the only raw material we used to process to make soy-based beverages, but also soy-based fermented products or desserts. Then we had a mix of soya and nuts, especially almond in North America. But these last years, we were successful in processing oats, mainly in Northern Europe and also North America. And more recently, we had some very interesting projects for processing other kinds of legumes. I thought about mung beans, so to extract the protein and spray dried to make isolates. Another question is, can you propose a single line able to process all the plant-based materials? So as we have just explained, extraction processes are specific to the raw materials to be processed. We focused on the starch hydrolysis or required blanching for soybean, for instance. But once the key components are extracted in a liquid phase and constitute the main ingredients for further processes, it is able to use the same processing line to make different kind of products. For instance, for formulating and running thermal treatment to make plant-based beverages, or running fermentation to make fermented products, plant-based products. But the main constraint to processing different raw materials is the risk of allergen cross-contamination. As soya can be considered as an allergen, one of the 14 allergens. Same for nuts, or also all the cereals containing gluten are also considered as an ingredient, as an allergen. So rigorous cleaning procedures are required between two different incompatible raw materials to prevent cross-contaminations with the allergen. So this specific topic will be addressed in one of the coming webinars on the cleaning in place in plant-based. Yeah, still 2 minutes. So another one is, Are you able to run extraction in plant-based in all your innovation centers facilities? No. No, we cannot run extraction in all the innovation centers, as most of them, I would say, are specific to some plant-based technologies. For instance, in Søborg, Denmark, we can concentrate the extracted liquid on evaporators, and then spray dry to make plant-based powder. The pilot line installed in Mamirol in France, for instance, are used for making fermented products or fresh desserts using pre-processed raw materials. The same in Dubai. We have one multi-UHT pilot line to make shelf-stable plant-based beverages. And pack them in aseptic packaging. So only our Silkeborg, Denmark facility has a complete extraction line to process different kinds of raw materials. So for blanching, grinding, hydrolysis, decanting, and also the multi-UHT solution for enzyme inactivation and also the final heat treatment. So you are very welcome to come and see us in our different innovation centers. And conscious of the time, so we are now reaching to the end of the webinar. So thank you again for attending and sending your question. This webinar is recorded, so you will receive an email and a link to listen it again, and also to pass the link to your colleagues. Also, please feel free to fill out the feedback form that will be sent along with the link for the recording. So thank you again, and goodbye.